In this video, we're going to take a look at how to send messages to your attendees, both payment related ones to the lead attendee and information messages to all of your attendees. So let's start with the payment messages. So here we are in Workshop Angel and we're back in the bookings and payments area. And we've got our 3 bookings that we've been familiar with through this tutorial. And we're at the point now where we're waiting for the payment to come in from Norbert. So he owes us €488. But today is the day that that payment's actually due. So you will recall from previous lessons that he was sent a payment due message at the time that he booked. But we've checked our bank account, the payment hasn't arrived yet. So we'd like to give him a little bit of a nudge and make sure he's going to pay it in the next day or so. And in order to do that, we can send him a payment reminder message. Now, the way we do that is with this button here called Send Reminder. And if we click on that button, then there's a little flicker of the fact that it's sending the message. And then it shows that this message has been sent. And it shows that it was sent on the 31st of March. In fact, no, that doesn't show that it's been sent. That shows that you can send it again if you choose to. You may choose to send the payment reminder a couple of times. If it's a subsequent payment, you might send it maybe 5 days before it's due, and if they don't pay, a little bit like we're doing now, perhaps on the day it's due or just the day before. So this shows when the payment reminder message was last sent. And if we click on this, then we can actually see the message that was sent out. So this is a pop-up which we can see in quite a few different places to show the message which went out. So this is the standard payment reminder message. It's very much like the payment due one which we saw previously, with the details of the payment required and the payment methods down here at the bottom. So if we close out of that, that's the process for sending out payment reminders manually. There is also a process by which they can be sent out automatically. And in the section about sending messages, you can read about our feature called auto send. So that's in the sending messages part of the main documentation. You can read about auto send and learn how to have the system send these types of messages out automatically. So those are the payment reminder messages. Let's now look at the messages which we'd want to send to all attendees with information about the activity that we're running. And those, we manage the sending of them in this bookings and messages area. And in this area, you can see that we've got 3 different columns. One is a list of the messages. The second column is a list of our attendees. And the third column shows us the delivery status and options to send the different messages that we have. So within Workshop Angel, there are 4 predefined messages for attendee information. The place booked one we've looked at already. That is sent out at the time the booking is made. So we can see here that for all 5 of our attendees, the place booked message is listed as being sent. There are then 3 other predefined email names or types which can be sent out as you go through the process from the time of booking towards the time the activity happens and just after the activity is finished. So those we call joining instructions. And the idea of that is it's the details about arriving at the activity, kind of things to bring, all those practical things, which you may want to send out quite a few weeks before the activity runs. Then we've got one we call just before, which is intended to send out a few days before the activity, a bit of a reminder of things to bring, things to plan, maybe some late details people need to know. And then there's one called Just After, which is a follow-up email after the activity to follow up on the various things that were discussed. So let's take a look at how those would be sent out. So We're assuming that you've already edited the details of the joining instructions and have that content in the way in which you want it to be. And we'll look at the details of doing that, or some of the details of doing that in the next lesson. But from the point of view of sending it, literally when that's ready to send, all you need to do is click on this button here, send unsent. And it's currently unsent to all 5 attendees. So if we click on that button, there's a few moments of sending and then it just shows sent. And we can then, if we want to see what actually happened, we can go over to messages and messages sent. And look, we can see the joining instructions have been sent out to all 5 attendees. And if we click on one of those, we can see the contents of that message. So this is our default template where we just leave you a space to add the joining instructions for your specific activity. It's also possible to set up for these messages to be sent out automatically. Again, that's using our auto send feature, which, as we talked about with the payment messages, you can read all about that in our sending messages section of the documentation. Those are the standard messages you'd find yourself sending out for attendees as a group. So to send to all the attendees and the individuals who have some payments which are due. It's also possible to send individual messages to people, and you can do that from 3 places. You can do that from inside contacts, and we'll look in a couple of lessons' time at the idea of being able to build a list of contacts. So we can, for example, add somebody to that list by clicking on the plus sign here, and then we can use the send message on this contact list. So we can send to one or a large group of contacts, which can be great not only for messaging an individual, but also for doing mailing and marketing type messages. Also over in bookings, there's various places in the attendees area and the responses area where there's this little icon here, and that also allows you to send an individual message to that attendee, quite commonly about, for example, something they may have raised on their booking form. So there we go. That is a summary of the possibilities around messages. We've looked at both payment-related messages, which are sent to the lead attendee, and attendee-related messages, which are sent to all attendees. You can also create any number of additional attendee messages if you have quite a large activity which runs over a period of time and has quite a lot of different information you want to send out. So in our next lesson, having looked now at how to add attendees and how to manage those bookings, we're now in the next lesson going to take a look at see how those activities themselves are actually created.